Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Tuesday, the 20th of June. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. If you're involved in any kind of an accident, hit and run, motorcycle, boating, car accident, I'm sending you to the only personal injury, the only accident attorneys that I trust, the only ones that are going to treat you like family and get you the money that you deserve. Mark Anidjar, Glenn Levine, Ellie Anidjar, title sponsors of ZASLOW Show 2.0. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. The news is heating up all around the NBA world. We are a couple days away from the draft, so we got that going on Thursday night. We're going to cover plenty of NBA today, how it relates to the Heat, what's new with Damian Lillard, the Marlins. That's right. How about the Marlins getting a mention in the first couple minutes of a show today? We're going to talk to all-time great Marlins color analyst Tommy Hutton is going to join us on this show today. Haven't talked to Tommy in at least a couple of years, so looking forward to chatting with him. The Marlins are 11 games over 500. So last night, you know, I got the Marlins most nights, even during the regular season, earlier in the season. Now, it wasn't happening during a lot of the playoffs between the Heat and Panthers because they were playing on the same nights, and that takes up both TVs in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. But most nights, including last night, I got the Marlins on the small TV in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. And I'll tell you, they're a fun little team. Now, we're only in late June, but normally, I'll mention this to Tommy. Normally, you know, the basketball season ends, the hockey ends, doesn't normally take us to mid-June. Normally, it ends, let's say, early May, maybe even late April. And what do I do for the next few months to lead me into football? Well, the Heat and Panthers did such a good job eating up a lot of that time and taking us to mid-June. So now it's like, all right, I don't have that much, can the Marlins hold me over another month? Because we're a month away from training camp. How about that? We're a month away from Miami Dolphins training camp getting going. So we're really close, but you don't necessarily have to look at it that way. It's not, can the Marlins hold us over? The Marlins look like they may be worth paying attention to. Now, we got a ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question out today. Go to @ZASLOW Show. Go vote. You can always hit me up on Instagram as well, where I'm an influencer. I'm very famous there, @ZASLOWJ. But go to @ZASLOW Show on Twitter and vote in today's poll question. Today's ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question is, with the Miami Heat and the Florida Panthers done, are you finding yourself paying more attention to the Marlins? That's the question. I vote yes. Because, even last night, I had it on the small TV. I watched pretty much the entire game. It was a fun game because not only did the Marlins win 11-0, but you got the Blue Jays. So, I looked away for a second, and I think it was 9-0, maybe 10-0 at this point in the 8th inning. And the Marlins are at bat. And the pitcher for Toronto looks kind of weird. I'm like, oh, because remember, I'm watching the game on mute. So small TV is always on mute. So I'm watching it on mute. I'm like, oh, we got a position player who's throwing now for the Blue Jays. And the Marlins were hitting him up. They scored a couple runs in that inning. Anyway, so Marlins are fun. Yes, I vote yes. The choices are for with the Miami Heat and Florida Panthers done, are you finding yourself paying more attention to the Marlins? And your choices are yes, they're fun, or no, don't care. And I voted yes, they're fun. So right now, the leader at 66% of the vote is yes, they're fun. So a lot of you guys are paying more attention now. Now, some of you are not. 34%, that's a pretty big number. 34% of you guys are still not paying attention. Again, you could tweet @ZASLOW Show, @Xander Gomez tweeted back at that question, said, for instance, it's still only June. Let's at least wait until after the All-Star break before we start patting each other's backsides. Okay, that's fair. And the attitude that I would take, now, with nothing else going on right now, yes, it is only June. But with nothing else going on, why wouldn't I pay attention to the Marlins if they're playing good baseball? Now, there's a difference, I think, between are you paying more attention to the Marlins right now that the other sports are done, or do you believe in the Marlins right now? Like, that's where I think, at Xander Gomez, his answer is more appropriate. Because my question wasn't, do you believe in the Marlins? Oh, it's only mid-June. But as far as are you paying more attention, what else are we doing? And, well, like I said, we're going to talk to Tommy Hutton. I'll bring this up to him. But for me, here's what I want to see. While I am paying attention, and I will start going to games here and there. But here's what I want to see. New owner, same as the old owner, Bruce Sherman. But it doesn't spend any money. But here's what I want. When we get to the trade deadline, or even before the trade deadline, and we're talking in a month from now, right? Are we going to get to a place where Bruce Sherman decides, you know what? I'm going to open up the wallet here. We got a team that, at least right now, is 11 games over 500. You got a team here who should be in prime position to add a very big piece, maybe a very big bat before the trade deadline. Can we add some payroll? Can we put this team in a position where, you know what? We're looking like we're going to make the playoffs. Let's go for it. That to me, see, I'm paying more attention to the Marlins right now. But that to me would be the difference between are we taking this team serious or not? So that's what I want to see. Are we going to get to a place in a month from now where we can take this team serious? And that means the owner has to spend a little bit of money. That's when I'll take them serious. But am I starting to pay a little bit more attention? Absolutely. Totally. So we'll talk to Tommy Hutton coming up today. I'm excited to get his thoughts on what's going on with this team right now. So, I don't know if you saw this. Also, a couple other house cleaning notes that I got to get to here before we get to the big NBA stuff. It is now we like it's on my TV right now. And this has been hinted at anyway. Inter Miami is planning on Lionel Messi's debut to be July 21st. And that's the game that we thought. And July 21st is this League Cup game. It's not a regular season game. It's against this Cruz Azul. I don't know who they are. They're not in MLS. But that would be, that would be his debut game. Now, does that mean, after that game, there's 6 or 7 more home games the remainder of the season. I'm looking to sell some games. I don't know if you know, I'm an inaugural season ticket holder. I'm looking to sell some games. But I don't know if that means, him making his debut that game, July 21. I don't know if that means that then he's playing in every game thereafter. I don't know. But if you were to go right now on StubHub, okay, ticket prices for his now estimated debut game. Cheapest ticket to get into Dry Pig Stadium. And it's section, for accuracy purposes, section 119, which is right at the 18, all right? Right outside the box. Cheapest ticket, $1,200. $1,200. How about that? That's wild, man. So it's gonna be an expensive ticket. And if you want to put it into a little bit more context, I'm looking on StubHub. If you want to put it into a little bit more context, the next regular season game after that would be 4 days later, July 25. Now, does Messi play in that game and then only 4 days later he's playing in a regular season game? I don't know. I hope so, because this is what season ticket holders, I'm an inaugural season ticket holder. This is what season ticket holders like myself have tickets for. Cheapest ticket for that game, it's against Atlanta United. $700. Whoo, boy. Let's go. I will be selling that game. All right. Now Ticketmaster has their own resale, scenario. So do you go, do you go to Ticketmaster then? You want to check out tickets for Lionel Messi's debut with Inter Miami. Let's see what that's going to look like. All right. So, like I said, that first game, July 21st, that's when they're expected it to be. And it's not, remember, it is not a regular season game. So first game here, let's see tickets. Ticketmaster, July 21st. Cheapest ticket, very similar. Standing room only, $1,300. If you want an actual seat, cheapest ticket, $1,800. Now, if you want to look at the regular season game, the next regular season game, like we said, July 25 against Atlanta, oh my God. This, if you're a season ticket holder, this is great. Cheapest ticket for that Atlanta game, and there are not a lot of seats left, $2,400. I mean, how's that? Like, I'm not looking at that as a season ticket and saying, wow, I'm going to get $2,400 pop. That's definitely not going to happen. But just to put into some context here, these tickets are extremely expensive right now. And from what I understand, every road game with Inter Miami, from like that point on, late July on, completely sold out. So at least we got what seems to be more of a, I wouldn't say firm date of Lionel Messi's debut with Inter Miami, but it looks to be firming up. So we got that going on. We got a poll at ZASLOW Show. Go vote if you're paying more attention to the Marlins. And we're going to talk to Tommy Hutton coming up in a few minutes here. Let's get to some NBA stuff. NBA drafts in a couple nights. First, though, I want to tell you, if you're dealing with a water leak in your home, if you think you may have a water leak, you got to get that taken care of immediately. You could then have mold damage, and that's a massive issue. So as soon as you think you might have a problem, call or text my guys, the Greensteins. Family friends since I'm a teenager. I'm talking about Water Cleanup of Florida. 954-900-8635. Water Cleanup of Florida is fully licensed, insured, certified to provide the one-stop shopping that all of us business owners, homeowners, that's what we're looking for. You don't need to bring in any other contractors. Water Cleanup of Florida handles the entire project from start to finish. 954-900-8635 or go to WCUFL.com. After the leak has been located and repaired, Water Cleanup of Florida, they then clean, dry, and fully restore all of the damaged areas. You can check out more than 85-star reviews on Google. You can follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635. Again, Water Cleanup of Florida, we clean up your schmutz. So, a lot of NBA stuff to get to. First, let's do general NBA, then we'll circle back to the Heat, all right? So, Damian Lillard, not just as far as the Heat thing goes, but so here's what happened yesterday. I pick up my older son from camp. We're in the car. He tells me, and he's dialed into all this stuff on social media, and he's one of those Heat fans, and he's also young. Like, he's 14, okay? So, he doesn't necessarily understand how amazing Pat Riley has been from a front office perspective over the last 28 years we're talking about. He just knows the last 5, 6, 7 years where you got the big names and the Heat are always involved. And they don't get them. That's what he knows. And I try and tell him, like, you got to have a little bit of perspective. You're wrong to only view it in that most recent vacuum. And Damian, so he tells me, you see, Damian Lillard said he wants to stay in Portland. Like, really? I mean, now I do believe it's a major gamble for the Heat to put all their eggs in the Damian Lillard basket. We talked about it yesterday. I understand the frustration coming from Heat fan because there's this sense where instead of trying to hit a home run, the Heat want to hit a grand slam. They could have hit a home run with Donovan Mitchell. They wanted the Kevin Durant grand slam. They could have hit a home run with Bradley Beal. They want the Damian Lillard grand slam. That's this team's MO. That's how they operate. It's worked in the past. Recently, it's come up short. But my son says to me, see, Damian Lillard said he wants to stay in Portland. Like, all right, well, that's interesting news. Let's go look that up. And that's a little bit misleading, that headline. Like, he saw that headline from that aggregate on Twitter, NBA Central, the NBA Central. And I'm like, hold on a second. Let's go listen to the clips. He says to me, Shams Charania says on the Pat McAfee show that he wants to stay in Portland. It's like, okay, let's go find this clip. Well, Shams Charania was on the McAfee show yesterday. So give this a listen. You tell me what this sounds like.
I mean, listen, if Damian Lillard got out of Portland and if there was a trade to be had, there's destinations, no question, Miami would be at the top of them, just like it was for Brad Beal. Their team, we saw what happened in the finals. I do think they believe they're one piece away, one major piece away. And so from everything I've heard, Damian Lillard would be at the top of their list if he becomes available. That's the question. But right now, it's really up to Portland. It's Damian Lillard has really left it up to Portland. He wants to be there. He wants that team to get better. So they have the number 3 pick in the draft. They have the number, I think, 23rd pick in the draft. They have Anthony Simons. What can you go get in the marketplace to make this team better? And if nothing comes about, then I do think Damian Lillard will have to look very hard at his future in Portland. But if they do make the team better between now and Thursday and on Thursday night, then I think you'll see Damian Lillard be there. So as much as I think people want to make
your court,
I think it's really on Portland.
Okay, so my son and I listened to that clip from yesterday, and I told him, I go, that right there, and you tell me, that right there is no different than everything we already knew. Damian Lillard, his preference is to stay in Portland. His number one choice would be Portland goes out and acquires a bunch of great players to put around him. Hell, that's always the way it is. When the great player ends up wanting to leave, if his current team were able to acquire all the great players, they would all want to stay. No one actually wants to get up and move. No one wants to get their children out of school. No one wants to tell their wife, hey, guess what, we're leaving. All of them would prefer to stay put. So when Shams Charania and the headline is Lillard prefers to stay in Portland, that's nothing new. We know this already. It's going to come down to what happens Thursday night with Portland and the number 3 overall pick. So what I look at my son and I tell him, this is nothing new. We know he prefers to stay in Portland. But what we're hoping is Portland does not trade the number 3 overall pick. And we talked about this already. Is there a single player who's like available? I'm not talking Steph Curry or Giannis. Is there a single player who's attainable? A single player whose team would part with him for the number 3 overall pick, which is very valuable because the top 3, I mean, we know Wembanyama, but even number 2 and number 3, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, this is a very good draft. But number 2 and number 3 also look like they could be big-time players. If Portland holds on to that pick, if you're a Heat fan, this is what you want. If Portland holds on to that pick, Lillard may then want out. Because he's not going to want to wait 4 or 5 years for that guy to be the type of player who he could partner with and win a championship. But if they do trade that 3rd pick, there's not a single guy out there who's attainable, who you put next to Lillard and say, we're competing with Denver. We're competing with Phoenix maybe. Oh, that's a whole nother story. Or even we're competing with Sacramento. Sacramento is going to be really good for the next several years. But if you're a Heat fan, you're hoping Portland does not part with the number 3 overall pick. And then Lillard looks at that and says, it's time. Like, it's time for me to move on. So that clip right there, I mean, you tell me, is that news? Is there anything new there? Yeah, we know Lillard prefers to stay in Portland. But if they can't get anything big done, he might ask out. And that's what the Heat are holding out hope for. Now, to circle back to the Heat, and then we'll get back to other NBA stuff. I told you, I think the Lillard waiting game is such a massive risk. And it's such a risk because, number one, you have to hope that the scenario I just said to you plays out. And you have to hope that Lillard then asks out. Okay, let's say that happens. Now, is Portland inclined to take Miami's offer over the other 28 offers they could seemingly receive. And then let's just narrow it down to two. The two that we keep hearing about. Miami, Brooklyn. I don't understand how Portland would take Miami's offer over what Brooklyn can potentially offer. They have like 11 first-round picks that they could trade. A bunch of them however many of them they can make unprotected. I don't know. But they have 11 tradable first-round picks. Now, is Brooklyn going to offer 11 picks? No, of course not. But they have a treasure chest of first-round picks that they can move for Damian Lillard. So, I don't understand how Portland would look at that and say, we like Miami's offer better. But at the same time, I mean, can Miami offer? Obviously, they would offer Tyler Hero. Brooklyn doesn't have a player like that outside of Mikal Bridges, who they're not going to trade, because then it completely defeats the purpose. So, maybe Miami can match it. Maybe Miami can make their package more enticing. Like, you would offer Tyler Hero, Nikola Jovic, so you're essentially offering last year's first-round pick. That's a first-round pick, if you want to look at it like that. And then offer, 3 more first-round picks. So you can kind of spin it where we're giving you Tyler Hero and 4 first-round picks. So maybe the Heat can come up with a competitive offer against whatever Brooklyn would offer. I don't know. But as far as, what Portland decides to do, as far as loyalty to Damian Lillard, because the Beal thing was so enticing because he's got the no-trade clause. Portland doesn't owe Damian Lillard anything. It's not like Damian Lillard's a champion. He brought titles to Portland. We want to make sure we send you off right. In all honesty, Portland paid Damian Lillard very handsomely over the last 10 years, whatever it was. And Lillard did not reward the Blazers with a championship. Now, I don't want to make that sound like Damian Lillard's done something wrong. He hasn't. But the point is, Portland doesn't owe Lillard anything. They owe him nothing. So as far as loyalty goes, it's not like if they decide to send him to Brooklyn if he asks for a trade. We already know Damian Lillard's number one choice is Miami. He said so. We know this. That's not a report. Damian Lillard on a podcast, video and everything, said Miami, first choice. We know this. But if they decide to not be loyal and send him to Brooklyn, it's not like they're sending him to Siberia. I mean, shit, he was in Brooklyn for the playoffs. Remember, I went to Game 3. I was in Brooklyn. I had some work going on there. And I went to the Nets and Sixers, Game 3 in the first time. Lillard was there. He went to the game. He was in Brooklyn watching playoffs. So clearly he's okay with Brooklyn. But, and again, Portland may not care about this. But Lillard could say to them, I really don't want to go to Brooklyn because would Brooklyn be any better off than Portland? I mean, what does Brooklyn have once they acquired Damian Lillard? All right, he's playing with Mikal Bridges, a good player. But is that Brooklyn team any better off than Portland? I don't think so. But again, what does Portland care about that? Nor should they care about that. Portland should totally do what's best for Portland. So it's a roundabout way where I'm telling you, it's a super risky waiting game. It's a super risky gamble the Heat are taking in waiting for this. Will they pass up other deals on the table over the next couple nights leading up to the draft to pray to Hashem that Damian Lillard asks out? I don't know. And how about this? I saw this earlier today from Jared Fisher, Yahoo Sports. And this is where, not that Jared Fisher doesn't know what he's doing. I've had him on my show before. But you really got to be careful what you read and what you believe during this free agency and draft period. Jared Fisher reported that Portland because we know there's a relationship. And they want to keep Dame. And we know there's a relationship between Lillard and Bam. Lillard said so himself. Loves Bam. That's his dude. Jared Fisher of Yahoo Sports is saying Portland is preparing an offer to the Heat for Bam Adebayo. They want to keep Lillard. They want to bring Bam. They want to trade for Bam and keep Lillard. I know there's probably some Heat fans who look at that and say, yes, let's do that. There is no chance the Heat do that. Nor should they. But you got to be careful the stuff that you're reading out there. There's a lot. I'm not saying their support isn't true. I could totally see Portland saying, you know what? How about we just try and trade for Bam? But in general, you got to be careful some of the bullshit that you believe out there. So we're going to continue to have an eventful couple of days with the draft around. Now, as far as other NBA stuff goes, and real quick here, like I said, we're going to talk to Tommy Hutton coming up. But real quick here, I want to tell you guys, if you're in the need of homeowners insurance, my homeowners insurance is up again this summer. I'm not worried. I use Brunt Insurance. I know I'm getting the best rates out there. BruntInsurance.com, 954-589-2204. I've been getting my homeowners insurance with Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance for almost 10 years now. I'm not sending you to an insurance agency that I don't know anything about. I'm not sending you to one that I don't use myself. I'm sending it to the only insurance agency I would ever consider getting my homeowners insurance from, because I know that his team at Brunt Insurance knows every area you could possibly be calling from in Florida. If you have a single family home, do you have a townhome? Do you need flood insurance? Do you need this? Do you need that? From Pensacola to the Keys and beyond, Brunt Insurance is delivering you comprehensive insurance coverage tailored exactly to your needs. And not just homeowners insurance. I get my homeowners insurance through them. But if you need automobile, you need life insurance, you need boaters insurance, renters, condo insurance, 954-589-2204. And with locations in Davie, Stewart, and Lakeland, they know whatever area in Florida you are calling from. If you're looking for that affordable care that offers you the best coverage, you're making the right call. The team at Brunt Insurance, their expertise and experience, they're going to find exactly the right coverage for you. Let their team, they're going to learn more. You'll learn more about all kinds of different policy options, so you're going to wind up making an informed decision that's not going to keep you up late at night wondering, if something happens to my home, am I covered? You're when you call Brunt Insurance. 954-589-2204, bruntinsurance.com. Also, hey, it's the summertime. You might be out there looking for a new ride. That's right. Well, I'm sending you to the only car dealership that I personally endorse. Yeah, I'm sending you to North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. You walk in the showroom doors at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, you're going to be greeted by a member of their friendly sales team who is going to navigate you in exactly the right direction. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru carries the widest inventory of the newest Subaru models on the market. We're talking the Subaru Outback, the Crosstrek, the Forester, the Ascent, the WRX. If you're looking for an SUV, you've come to the right place. If you're just looking for a sedan, you've come to the right place. At North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, we're talking sizzling summer savings, new Subaru models starting at just $249 a month, plus save up to $1,500 off MSRP on select new Subaru models in stock, plus receive up to $750 in trade-in assistance. Shop NFLSubaru.com. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, conveniently located on North Andrews Avenue, just north of Cypress Creek Road. The building you know and the place to go. NFLSubaru.com, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. Now, the other big story that's been out there these last couple days, and he made the media rounds yesterday, which I think was coincidental. I think that's some kind of book that's coming out or something. Chris Paul. All right. Chris Paul's angry. I get it. And I played for you the clip yesterday where he was on Good Morning America. He was talking to promote something else. He tells you how he found out on the plane ride. George Stephanopoulos was aghast to find out he found out on the plane ride. I get it. Chris Paul was upset. Why wouldn't he be? it seems like there's new ownership. Well, there is new ownership. Things are being run differently. He's traded to Washington, although he's really going to be able to pick where he wants to go. Washington is clearly being completely amenable to adding another team in there and sending Chris Paul exactly where he wants to go. But he's angry. That's why he's outing the Suns operation, letting you know that Isaiah Thomas is running the show. He was quoted several times in this New York Times piece yesterday, mentioning Isaiah several times. And that's controversial that Isaiah Thomas is involved because the new owner, Matt Ishbia, said Isaiah Thomas has no role. But Chris Paul's not lying about that. He's telling you, Matt Ishbia, and Isaiah Thomas wanted to go in a different direction. So he knows what he's doing there. He's kind of burning the bridge on the way out because he feels that they did him dirty. So he's letting everybody know, oh, and guess what? Isaiah Thomas is involved. Okay. Hey, that's all right. He could do that. But here's the problem I have with Chris Paul. He's being a little disingenuous, all right? He's making it sound like he didn't know about the trade, which is bullshit, because I knew about this trade days ago. So Chris Paul doesn't know days ago? So he's being disingenuous because there's, like, he's trying to say that there's a difference between knowing days ago, maybe even last week, which, by the way, was a couple weeks ago, we knew that the Suns were going to try and trade him or they may release him because only $15 million of his salary is fully guaranteed, not the whole 30 if they release him. But he's being disingenuous, making it sound like he knew nothing when he completely knew because I knew that he was going to be in this Bradley Beal trade. And he's making it sound like there's a difference between that and then when the trade is done, him finding out somewhere else other than the team. They definitely told him days ago, or told his agent, we're working a trade, it's based around you. And he thinks because after that, and it's going to happen, but he's upset that he wasn't told first, that it was put out there before he was told the deal is done. And that's disingenuous, because he's going on Good Morning America, making it sound like he had no idea anything was happening. And he found out from his son on the airplane. And that's bullshit. Like that, like he's being a little bit of a shyster. That's disingenuous. And here he is pulling the same move yesterday on the Pat McAfee show.
But what is your thoughts on this? I read that you were on Good Morning America. You said you found out about it while you're on the flight to Good Morning America. So you didn't see this coming? And what do you think the future looks like for you? What is your part in this whole thing?
Don't know. I was flying yesterday from New York, to New York from LA, and I got a text from my son. That's how I found out. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I was sitting there, I showed my wife or whatever, because we was in the air. And, it's all right. We got to figure out what's next.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so same thing. He's making it sound like he had no idea, and his son had to tell him when he was on an airplane on the way to New York yesterday. And that's disingenuous, and it's bullshit. And here's the thing. Let me ask you something. Because like I just told you, if they couldn't find a trade partner, they were going to cut him because only 15 of his $30 million is guaranteed for next season. Why doesn't Chris Paul mention that in order to make this trade work financially, the Phoenix, to make the money work, to make the cap numbers work, that the Phoenix Suns guaranteed an extra $10 million to make the money work. So now, instead of making $15 million by being cut, he's making $25 million guaranteed by being sent to Washington in this trade. So when he's out there crying, woe is me, I didn't know about the trade, why doesn't he also mention that because this trade took place, he just made an extra $10 million sight unseen? Why isn't he crying about that? So it's totally disingenuous. He's being a baby. He made an extra $10 million sight unseen by this trade happening. Why isn't he mentioning that? Because that does not fit the woe is me narrative. So, I don't know. It's only been a couple of days since the trade was made. I'm over hearing from Chris Paul. He's being a baby. Like, it went from I understand him being angry to, yeah, you're not being entirely truthful, and you're a baby. Now you got the Zion Williamson stuff. Well, these are the three big stories. Lillard, Beal, Paul, and now Zion. Four biggest stories. More scandalous stuff going on with Zion, where the old girlfriend, not the baby mama who I guess he's going to marry, but the old girlfriend, who I guess is excuse me, an OnlyFans kind of deal, right? Or does she do pornography? I'm not sure. She's the one who has photos of, or said, Zion, I'll let you spit in my mouth. That's kind of a gross move. Anyway, she is now demanding that the Pelicans trade Zion, or she is going to release sex tapes. And I guess the move there is, it's kind of like New Orleans is my city. He doesn't belong here anymore. So you better get him out of my city. You better trade him, or I'm going to release sex tapes. That's kind of a weird power play, but that's what I can gather from it is she doesn't want Zion in her city anymore. So trade him, or I'm going to release sex tapes. And you, the Pelicans, now and Zion have to deal with this scandal. Like, who wants to deal with that shit? It's one thing that you'll deal with the extracurricular shit, the scandal stuff, if he's awesome. Like, it's one thing to deal with it then, but he never plays. Who needs this? Like, what team needs this shit? But with that said, I think he's definitely being traded. Either by or on Thursday night. I definitely think he's being traded. So those are the four big, if I'm the Pelicans, I gotta get out of the Zion Williamson business. And they'd be able to get a lot for him. Not as much like a year ago, but you'll be able to get a lot for him. I gotta get out of the Zion Williamson business if I'm the Pelicans. And I would even say, ZASLOW, how about with the Heat? It doesn't seem like he cares about basketball. And like I said, who wants to deal with this shit? This nonsense that's going on. So there's part of me that's like, it'd be amazing if the Heat traded for him, but I don't see them wanting to get involved in this. It's a mess. I don't see them wanting to get involved in it. And he never plays. He's never on the floor. So those are the big stories going into tomorrow. It is a very fun week as far as the NBA goes. Very fun week.